Hi, everyone. We're just going to take a minute or two to wait for people to sign on. But we're going to be doing our happy hour Detroit. So it looks like we're getting a couple people to sign on. Welcome. Let's give a minute or two before we can, before more people sign on. And then we're going to go through some interesting, cocktail history that has to do with Detroit. You know what? I'm going to pull this up on my phone too because I can't see who's on here. So while we're waiting, Jason, could you do something to enable the chat on the side? Okay, wait a second. Here it is. So I can see. If you're just tuning in right now, I'd appreciate it if you would tell me where you're from. And also, how about including, did you happen to bring an alcoholic beverage with you? Make something special. If so, please let us know what your drink is. So, you know what? I like to start on time. If you've ever been with me on my tours, you know that I like to start instead of waiting for people. So I think I'm going to get going right now, and then hopefully people will tune in along the way. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in on this Sunday afternoon. I'm Karin. I'm your host, and I am the founder of City Tour Detroit. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody, first of all, for tuning in this afternoon. And I want to wish you all a happy new year. It's been a long time. And these Facebook Lives have been on my mind for a long time. And then, sometimes life gets in the way, so you're not able to execute. But we came up with a concept, Happy Hour Detroit, where we're going to dish up, food and drink history that has to do with Detroit. And today we are going to feature some cocktails. It isn't always going to be cocktails. It could be non-alcoholic beverages, and it's going to be some different types of food. In fact, I think in the next episode or so, I'm going to commit Detroit heresy, when I say this one favorite Detroit recipe really doesn't sound all that good when I make it, and people actually love it. So I might change my mind. So let's just see, is there any favorite cocktails that people happen to have that you're brought with you? For some reason, I can't see comments. I see Kathy Luna checked in. Hi, Kathy. Kathy is my sister from California. It's always nice when your family pops in. So anyway, the Happy Hour Detroit might be weekly, it might be monthly. Right now, I'm really not committing to anything in general, but I've got at least 12 episodes for us. And if you can, take a look, I've got a little bar here set up for my specialties that I'm going to introduce today. So let's get on with the show. So how many of you ever heard of the alcoholic beverage called Cold Duck? Cold Duck in the late 1960s and 1970s was the best-selling cocktail in America. Can you believe that? It was a fruity drink. It was kind of a toss-up between a wine, a champagne. It was very carbonated. And it was very, it popped up, Thanksgiving, Christmas. That's when people pulled out their cold duck. And although in the 60s and the 70s, cold duck wasn't really produced here in Detroit, its claim to fame is that it was invented here in Detroit. In fact, when Mayor Roman Gribbs was mayor of Detroit, and we're going back to the 1970s, he and his wife hosted this big to-do at the Manoogian Mansion. And that was when they invited dignitaries and the ping pong team from China. Nixon had just gone over to China, and it was opening up the doors, between relations between China and the United States. So Catherine put on this big shindig, and she had all kinds of Detroit foods like better made potato chips, Sanders bumpy cake, but she also served Cold Duck, a Detroit invention, and Verner's Ginger Ale, which originated here as well. And I'm reading, of course, from the book, A History Lover's Guide to Detroit. And who's this? Chick Karin Risco. That's me. You can pick up the book. There's all kinds of little tips in here. So Cold Duck was served at that outing. So it is believed that Cold Duck was invented here in Detroit. However, it really dates back to the 1700s in Germany, when they would have these manor parties. And at the end of the night at these manor parties, there would be, all kinds of wine, bottles of wine left over, just a little bit in there. So they would take all that wine and they dump it in one container, and then they would serve that and top it off with champagne. And it was called Kalte Ende. Literally, that means the cold ending. That was your toast when you were leaving, and this way to send off all the guests with this cold, ending at it. Kind of a nice custom. But then that, in German, Ende is also similar to Ente, which means duck. So that's really how Cold Duck ended up coming about. But in the 1930s, Harold Borgman, he was a veteran of World War I, and he came back to Detroit and he wanted to open up a wine cafe, just like, he was stationed in France. So that's where he came up with this idea for this wine cafe. And it was there, perhaps when he was in France, he had a variation of that drink. Oh, I see some of the comments. Hey, Marcia, dark and stormy where you are. Hey, Candy. Hi, Leslie. Sandy is here from St. Clair Shores. So anyway, Harold opened up this cafe here, and it was called the Pontchartrain Wine Cellars. Some longtime Detroiters may remember Pontchartrain Wine Cellars. It was actually where the Detroit Foundation Hotel is, right next door to it, where they have their podcasting studio. That is where Pontchartrain Wine Cellars was. But in the 1930s, it was actually on Wayne Street, which is Washington Boulevard today. And where I pinpointed it, it was just north of Congress. Probably when they, I remember it from Detroit Bank and Trust. I don't even know what the current name of it is now. When they built that skyscraper, that's probably when the building got dozed. And so it was in the 1950s, I believe, that they actually moved next to, it was the Detroit Fire Department at the time in this 1880s building. But so since the 1930s, the Pontchartrain Wine Cellars was around. And in 1937, that is when Henry Borgman ended up inventing this drink. And I'm going to show you what he did in a minute. Harold Borgman invented this drink in 1937. And then it just became popular later on for some reason in the 1960s and 70s, but a totally different version. In fact, you can buy it today. Andre Wine Distributors, they ended up selling it. Unfortunately, today, my version is probably going to be more close to their version because Harold Borgman used a fine quality New York State champagne, and it was a California Burgandy. So he was very, he used great products. Today, I'm kind of going on the cheap. I'm doing what I have in the house. And, and the wine is from my favorite wine shop, Aldi. So you know what? I think I'm going to splurge a little. I'm not going to do the Winking Owl Merlot. I'm going to do the Cabernet Sauvignon. One of these days, I will try it with a fine Burgundy. And it really is one part of the wine and my famous champagne here. But, I thought I had a good bottle and I couldn't find it. But somebody gifted me this. So, it's just I'm drinking for one today. So I'm going to use this champagne. Ooh, there's my little bubbles. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We've got special guests tonight, or this afternoon. Usually I do these at night, so I'm a little mixed up here. Nina Instead. You might be familiar with her from the Already Gone podcast. And she's also the, I want to say the founder of Missing in Michigan, she's at least the moderator. She'll tell us more about that in a minute. She's here with us. And then we also have Lazar Favors. And Lazar Favors is an entrepreneur. He's Detroit's favorite uncle, and we're going to find out why. And then he's also the organizer of an event called The Taste of Black Spirits. So he's going to give us some history he's going to talk about the history. He had me at that word. But anyways, I want to let you know, cheers right now. And let's hope that 2022 is our best year so far. So cheers. I think this is like the cheap version. You have to do it with Burgundy, and you're going to have to do it with a New York State champagne, because this is like really sweet. But I guess it will do in a pinch. And it's something different. You might serve mimosas at brunch, and this might be a great evening toast drink. So with that, we're going to bring on Nina and Lazar. Hey, Nina. Hey, Lazar.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
How you doing, Nina?
Have both
Good,
of you
Lazar.
guys. So what do you guys think? Would you ever serve, do you see a red wine topped with champagne serving at one of your functions? We'll go with Nina. How about if I defer and then we'll go to Lazar?
Probably with some spirits, some liquor, whiskey.
Yeah. I'm definitely more of a cocktail drinker than a wine drinker.
All right.
If I had champagne, I'd make a French 75.
Oh, and what is that?
I like that.
It's gin and champagne. A couple other ingredients, but that's the gist of it.
Okay, so everybody, we have Nina and we have Lazar on screen right now. And as I mentioned, Nina's with the Already Gone podcast. She does the Missing in Michigan. And then she also has a podcast that she doesn't keep up on very well, but and I'm at fault too, because I was supposed to write some content, but I've been kind of sick this past year. But I do have to say that Dreaming with Nina, a Dreamcast, has really gotten me through this past year. If you have trouble sleeping, you're going to know all about Nancy Drew. You're going to know all about the Ford Rotunda. You're going to know, Joni. What's Joni's last name?
Joni Hubrid.
A great story by her. And then also I learned about the Sami indigenous people. And I'm sure there's a couple other ones in there, but I probably listen to it every night. It helps me sleep. So hopefully we're going to get her some more content, because she's got a beautiful voice, and we'll be able to help you out in the sleeping. And then Lazar, it's just as like divine intervention. Just thinking, who can I have on this very first show? And then all of a sudden I saw your advertisement for your Taste of Black Spirits event. And then you were describing some of the people in there and it was like, oh my gosh, I've got to have him on the show. So welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. And are you at Yum Village?
I am at Young Village. We just Godwin's actually wrapped up 2 pieces of work he's putting out for a series. Like literally just wrapped up. Like they're wrapping it up right now. I'm on this side and they're on that side.
So Yum Village is an Afro-Caribbean restaurant on Woodward Avenue, just 1 or 2 blocks south of the boulevard. And you know what? I was shocked when you said about all these spirits, because I didn't think they sold I thought it was just this restaurant. And to be honest, the couple times I've tried to go there, it's been closed. And one was for a filming, because, I don't always make reservations. You're out and about and exploring and, let's go in here and eat. Oh, Sharon has champagne. Marcia says cheers. Leslie has sangria. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We're going to start with Nina. And Nina is going to tell us a little bit about a cocktail from a famous private club right here in Detroit, located on Madison Avenue. All right, Nina, you ready?
I am. This drink is a prohibition cocktail. So when you think about it, think about bathtub gin. The drink is called The Last Word, and it was invented by a man named Frank Fogarty. And when I found out about Frank, I assumed that he was a bartender. No, he was a vaudevillian. Today, he'd be like a Stephen Colbert or a Dave Chappelle type, an actor, a comedian, someone well known to the public. And he was in at the Detroit Athletic Club in 1915 and asked for this drink. And the DAC actually became known for this cocktail, which was invented by Frank Fogarty. And one of the things that I really like about this cocktail is it uses some unusual ingredients, but they're not inaccessible. It's chartreuse, gin, a maraschino liqueur. I'm using Luxardo, and lime juice. And the nice thing about this drink is that it's made in equal parts. So it's really easy to remember. And if you're a novice cocktail maker, it's pretty much foolproof. You just have to measure equal parts. And I'm going to get started on that right now. I've got everything measured out. I've got a London dry gin because, again, they used bathtub gin. They were not using like a real fancy refined gin. I've got the Luxardo liqueur. This is a cherry liqueur. There's other brands. I like Luxardo. Olive green chartreuse. Adds an interesting color to the finished cocktail. And lime. Now, I measured out everything beforehand so I could just pour it into my shaker.
Can I interject for one moment while you're doing this? Okay. So the reason I asked Nina is a Facebook friend, and every night she posts a different cocktail. And I thought she was a professional bartender at one time at least, but she said no, she and her husband just enjoy the craft cocktail movement. But she has all kinds of ingredients, and I knew she would have a Luxardo, which is very pricey. So
we have an incredible bar here at the house. We've got almost 200 bottles. Wow. So it is definitely a hobby.
A passion, I would say.
So normally when you shake a cocktail, you would shake it until the shaker itself is cold and you can't hold it anymore. This is an insulated shaker, so I'm really just going by time. I've got some ice in here to make it nice and cold. I've got a coupe glass. You could also use a Nick and Nora glass for this cocktail because it's just right for the times. And then you would garnish it with a couple of cherries. And that is the last word. Yes, there is a cocktail bar in New York that makes this with rye instead of gin, and they call it the final word. But I'm partial to the gin cocktail.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Take a sip.
It's a really good, really balanced cocktail. Even if you're not a big gin person, the lime juice just sort of levels everything out, and it's delicious.
Wow. It looks delicious. So the Detroit, if you want to go to the Detroit Athletic Club to have this cocktail, they still are open. It is a private club, so you have to be a member or you have to go with a member. Just a little bit, the Detroit Athletic Club dates back to 1887, and it is considered one of the finest private clubs. And on their website, they mentioned that they've been recognized as the #1 athletic club in the entire United States by the Platinum Club of America. And although they date back to 1887, it's 1950 when their current building on Madison Avenue was constructed, and the designer is Albert Kahn. And, I've been in a lot of Detroit places, but I've never been inside the Detroit Athletic Club. I need to change that. Lisa says, that is great. Thanks, Nina.
It's my friend Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Oh, okay. And Chris, great choice for a cocktail. Wonderful example of Detroit. Detroit's rich history is what Chris is saying. So I will point in the show notes, I will put links to these drinks and that later on for us. So that does look delicious. Have you ever made the last word, Lazar?
I have not, but I'm looking forward to creating one of those drinks. I like that. That was pretty good. Sounds good too.
And the products that you represent, does anybody make gin?
Oh, absolutely. 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 100%. I'll get into that. Definitely.
Perfect.
At
So you
least
can
four.
make that with your spirits. Okay, awesome. All right. Do you ever do a variation of that, Nina? Or
There's another variation on this cocktail called the paper plane, and I can't remember what goes into the paper plane, but it's another riff very similar to this one. I would like to try the last word because I do enjoy drinking rye. So that's on my list of cocktails to try.
perfect. So one more thing that I do want to add, that this was, pre-prohibition, this was one of the more popular drinks. And then it went into obscurity. And then in the early 2000s, I want to say around 2004, a Seattle bartender by the name of Murray Stenson discovered this, looking in old recipe books or whatever. It was actually Ted Saucier's classic cocktail book, Bottoms Up. And he introduced this at the Zigzag Club in Washington. So now it is a cult classic favorite again today. All right, enough of the history of that. Thank you, Nina. That looks wonderful.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, you're going to stay on for a little while.
Oh, yes.
Right? Perfect, because we're going to get your opinion on what you could do with some of Lazar's beverages too. So Lazar Favors is Detroit's favorite uncle. What's that all about?
Well, I have over 40 nephews and nieces, and I'm their favorite uncle. But I dubbed that with also, I work with Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey. It's the fastest growing whiskey in American history. There's also, Uncle Nearest is the gentleman who taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey. So that I couple that, and I've been working with Uncle Nearest since 2018. So it all just made sense to continue that favorite uncle. Not to mention my last name is Favors, so it just made sense.
Perfect. Okay. So, this Taste of Black Spirits is an event that you founded really last year, and you held it at the Garden Club, correct?
Well, we held 4 last year. We introduced it here at Yum Village, May 22nd and 23rd. It was an inside-outside event. We had over 350 people come out both days. We did a second edition, July 18th and 19th. Then our third edition was at the Garden Theater on September 29th, which happens to be my birthday as well. And then our fourth edition was November 13th in Grand Rapids.
Hey, so that's my birthday.
Is that right? That's my wife's birthday too.
Cheers.
Cheers. Right.
Another divine intervention.
Right, that's right. Exactly.
So what exactly is this event, and why do you think it's important?
Well, the event, it brings awareness to over 160 African-American owned spirit brands, beer, wine, liquor, juice, tea. And I felt it important. A couple years ago, about 2018, I ran a space in the Fisher Theater, in the Fisher building, and I realized I didn't have any representation on my bar. So I just, I did some research, sought after those who, this community of African American who were in the spirit business. And again, I sought after Uncle Nearest. We created a relationship. I put Uncle Nearest in over 3,500 stores in the state of Michigan. Uncle Nearest is worldwide right now, 8 countries. Woman-owned company, Fawn Weaver is our owner. Our master distiller is a descendant of Uncle Nearest. Her name is Victoria. And yeah, it just made sense for me. So when I started this event at Yum Village, it was extremely intentional about bringing attention and awareness to these brands so people would know that these brands exist as well.
Perfect. And again, in the show notes, I am going to put a link to the event because
Thank you.
there's a couple. One is at the Garden Theater in February, and then you've got some in Grand Rapids. I'll let you pitch it a little bit at the end.
Thank
But
you.
this year's event is going to be a little bit different because not only are you going to have this representation, and I'm assuming people buy tickets and they sample, but you talk about the history. And you had me at those words about these cocktail pioneers.
Yeah.
Of course, these pioneers you're going to be talking about are not really Detroit related, but I think it's important because, I read somewhere about a contest that they have for African American, for the young people in this, is to show that it's not, you've got this history, you've got this legacy. So tell us a little bit about these pioneers.
Well, I can talk about Tom Bullock. He was the first African American who created this book called Ideal Bartender. Right. This was 1917. Oh my God, I was nowhere to be born. Right. So with Tom Bullock, he was one of the first bartenders who really had that book out, recipe book out with several different recipes in it. It's incredible how many in there. He also has the Tom Bullock gin right here. Yeah, see that? That's a beautiful picture. I love that picture. By the way. He has several other bourbons and whiskeys also. So we also have, it was a gentleman's club. It's called, I'm gonna read this to you guys. John Dabney, who created the mint julep. Anybody have you ever had a mint julep?
I'm in Georgia. I've had a mint julep. Right.
So there you go. So also we have Cato Alexander, who has Cato's Bar in one of the first African-American owned bars who would serve cocktails, high-end cocktails, etc. We have the Bowie, Burke, Edelin, founders of the Black Mixologist Club, and that was 1898. Like, imagine that, right? So that history itself allows me to put this event on, and it's important because a lot of us don't know that. Not just African Americans, a lot of people don't know that. Right? A lot of mixologists. It's a lot of bars and restaurants and mixologists and bartenders. I don't really call them bartenders anymore because they're called mixologists now. So there's a lot of those cats that I want to share this with and create, and not just create or use or utilize this recipe book, but also create their own rendition of it.
So I didn't have a long time to do a lot of research on this, but the 1917, the Ideal Bartender, that actually is like a coveted pre-prohibition cocktail book that people even refer to today to find out what the time period was like. And then John Dabney was enslaved for 40 years. And it was that his owners, or the people who owned him, I don't like to use that reference, but the people he was enslaved to, they actually hired him out. And so, when we think of, slavery, we often think of like the fields or the house. But if people have been on my incredible Journey to Midnight tour, they know about, one gentleman who was actually a tailor. So, back then these households would hire their slaves out. And unfortunately, it would be the slave owners who would keep the money. John Dabney was able to keep his tips and he was going to purchase his own freedom. But then what happened, he was married. And from what I read is they had a child, and the plantation owners, or the family that owned him, was more, they were concerned because they thought they were paying too much attention to their own child and they were going to sell her off somewhere else. So he made a deal that he could pause the, paying off his, so he could be free, so that he could purchase his wife, her freedom. So
you did great. That's great research. I'm glad you shared that. That's excellent research. I'm glad you shared that.
So despite, these opportunities, and then, he didn't end up having to purchase his freedom because the Civil War had ended and the slaves had been free. So he would go on, to purchase.
Live an extraordinary life.
Yes.
He was going to live an extraordinary life. That is fact.
All right. And you know what? one other thing that I want to say before you go on is that, you give some mention of some people who are actually able to, for somebody like a John Dabney who is able to move up into a middle-class lifestyle. That's really what bartending, brought on, or working in these restaurants was able to do.
It was a very respectable job. It was a very respectable job, and John Dabney and those guys, they were tuxedo. They were the guys with the tuxedos and the white over their arm. They were very classic gentlemen, very classic.
So, and you are going to share with us today what drink?
The El Dorado. It's out of this book right here. It's out of El Dorado. We're going to do this. I'm going to do the El Dorado Detroit El Dorado.
Okay.
Bit, right? So it's going to be made with, get my cup. It's going to be made with Duke&Dame salted caramel whiskey. Yak, not Yak. This is Detroit brand. His name is Will McKinley. That's cognac and rum. This Tusk rum is out of Virginia. So I'm gonna make all those. We're gonna blend all those together. Get the mice in here. Put the Duke&Dame in there. I have somebody to drink this in house too. So her name is Precious. She'll be drinking this for us.
Hi, Precious.
Yeah, hi, Precious. And that's the cognac.
Have you ever had it before, Precious?
No, this is gonna be her first time.
Okay.
And we're gonna add Shoki mixer. This is also African American owned cocktail mixer. This is our passion fruit. So we're gonna pour some of that in there. I'm not sure if I can shake as good as her.
I think you'll do just fine. Now that is an art. Doing a split pour like that.
Yeah.
I learned that from somebody. You add a lemon to it. There you have it. At the El Dorado.
That looks amazing.
That looks beautiful. That salted caramel sounds great.
Yes, that is this is Precious.
Hi, Precious.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Precious is
Great.
a producer, etc. Trust me.
I'm just here to take a drink.
This is fun that we can have guests like this,
I think it smells amazing. I heard you guys making it. I'm worried.
Oh no, that sounds delicious.
This is nice.
Yes, that's the El Dorado.
This is very nice.
Oh,
honestly, you guys should have one of your own, but I'm gonna take this one.
Thank you. So yeah, I have fun doing this kind of stuff. I love it.
Can you guys see these messages that pop up too?
I saw something. I missed it.
Yeah, I'm all kind of new to this. So Marcia has a bottle wall and she'd like to use some of your empty bottles.
Oh, for sure. We have hundreds of empty bottles. So yeah, absolutely. She can come by the restaurant and get them. That's fine. No problem.
So my cocktail connoisseur, Nina, would this be anything that you would make?
Oh, absolutely. That sounds amazing. And I love the passion fruit edition. It adds just such a great flavor to a drink.
Yes, it does. It does. That changes the whole thing. Because we have rum in there, we have cognac in there, and we have whiskey in there. You add that passion fruit, it just curves the whole thing, and it's lovely. It's a lovely drink.
It sounds amazing.
And of course,
I want to check out that brand that made the passion fruit mixer.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, do you want to say anything about a couple of the brands,
Sure. Well, I can, I introduce you to these three. This is like really one of my popular brands here in the state of Michigan. I've been representing this for about a year and a half. Salted caramel whiskey, it's all natural. It's a great brand. Let's go with Antel Tequila. She's a good friend of mine, her and her husband. She's a Cash Tech graduate. This is hers. So she has a Blanco. She has an orange. What is that? Let me grab it. a blood orange also.
Ooh.
Let's see what else we have. We have whiskey right, which is this is a great whiskey. It's got a cherry wood flavor. Oh my goodness,
Ooh.
incredible. Then we
Making
have
me thirsty.
yes, Den of Thieves. This is I'm not sure if you ever had a ginger vanilla whiskey.
No.
Excellent.
Ooh.
What else
I bet
we got?
that makes a
I'll share one
ridiculously
more
good
with you.
mule.
What kind of
This is-
mule, Nina?
With the ginger whiskey, making
Yeah.
a mule with that, like a
Yeah.
Kentucky mule made with oh my gosh.
Yes. And this, we have Island John vodka. Island John vodka is the next vodka. Absolutely, 100%. This is a great vodka, father and son from the Caribbean islands. He has a regular, has a apple guave, and a mango peach vodka.
Ooh.
I just one more. Let's see, one more.
Go on, bring it.
Spice. This is red hazel. I actually have a new bottle cover. I don't have it yet, but it's a spice whiskey. Very good. Excellent with cocktails. Excellent with ginger beer, a little bit of pineapple juice, and a little bit of something a little sweet. It's great.
So Elizabeth Shiflett wants, can you post a link to the caramel whiskey? And
Absolutely.
so can all these, I know Elizabeth doesn't live, she lives in Washington.
Okay.
And Nina lives in Georgia. So can
Nina definitely can get Island John for sure in Georgia.
Okay. I'm gonna look for it. I'm a Detroit girl at heart, but I'm here in Georgia now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she's been, you've just been gone like 2-3 years,
2
maybe?
years.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
years. Okay. And how about Washington? I know that I tried to order something.
This actually, I'm sorry, I should actually mention this is actually out of DC. Is it Washington DC or?
No, I think Washington State.
Oh, Washington State. Well, no, I'm not sure. We can go to the websites of each one of these brands, and they'll pull up. You can pull up, punch in your zip code, and it'll come up wherever it's available.
Okay. Yeah, Elizabeth said we used to live in Detroit area. In fact, she when she got married, she came on my notorious 313 tours and actually my incredible journey to midnight. So it's good to have you here, Elizabeth. We'll put the link and maybe you can order it, or maybe somebody from this area can order it and send it to you. Sure. Well, I think that was great. Great cocktails, great history. So I think it's a fitting end to this program, a call to end, literally, that we do this next drink. I don't know much about the mixologists here in Detroit. You know, we know a lot. We hear a lot about these, long time bars, but we don't know enough about like the bartenders, maybe the owners. If somebody's interested in doing a research project, I'd like to read about it, or if you've already done it. I just know I don't want to do the research behind it, but and then also to include what type of like African-American mixologists or bartenders or whatever that we've had in this area. But I can tell you about one of them, and he would be later. And so Jason, can you put up the picture of Jerome Adams? So this is Jerome Adams, and he was the bartender at the Bayview Yacht Club, which is still around today. And from my understanding, that's a yacht club very involved with the Mackinac race and that. But he started working, let me look real quick. He had his, in 2017 is when he had his 50th anniversary of working at the Bayview Yacht Club. He came up here from Georgia. He ended up working as a dishwasher and ended up moving up the ladder. And it would be in 1968 that he invented this drink called the Hummer. And, those are my spirits. I'm not into the gin and the rye. I love the rum and I like the Kahlua. And, every once in a while, a little tequila. But I guess I like the frou-frou drinks, you would say. So in 1968, there were a couple locals. Actually, they were proprietors of some other bars here in town. And he made them this drink with ice cream, 2 scoops of ice cream, Kahlua. One recipe that I saw said white rum, but other places I just saw rum in general. So 1.5 ounces of Kahlua, 1.5 ounces of rum, 2 scoops of ice cream, and a couple ice cubes. And voila, you have this delicious drink. So he made this drink for these guys, like I said, in 1968. And, you know, after having 2 of them, the guy said, wow, you know, after 2 of these, I'm ready to hum. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And so that's where the drink, the Hummer, comes. I know now that it has like a sexual connotation, but, you know, forget that. The Hummer. We'll go with the humming aspect. So anyway, I'm using my little bullet here, not a blender. And I do have my ice cream. I have my ice. And you know what? I'm foregoing the rum today, and I'm just putting 2 ounces of Kahlua in here because I'm really not supposed to be drinking all that much, but this is just a delicious cocktail.
It's a treat.
Yes. I'm going to make some noise here. I knew this was going to happen. You know, we got some pretty darn big ice cubes in this house. You know what? And what happened is I stuck this in the freezer since I don't have somebody like on the sets of these. Geez, I'm going to drain my bullet. You know what? I'm going to run off for 1 second. Lazar, tell us about that Taste of Black Spirits event that you have coming up, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, give us some dates because I'd like to come in for that.
Oh, please. The Taste of Black Spirits happens February 19th. It'll be at the Garden Theater in Midtown, 3929 Woodward. And again, it will highlight several different brands, probably over 60 brands. It's 160 total, but I think we'll highlight 160 that day, including some brands right out of West Michigan, out of Grand Rapids. These young men over there, they have a brand, this wine, they have a champagne, it's called Motu Vigette. Let me see if I got one up here. Yes, I actually do. So it'll be this one here, Motu Vigette. Those guys are excellent over there. That's where we partner with, and we did the Grand Rapids Taste of Black Spirits. That's an annual event for Grand Rapids. It'll happen every year in November. But this
we make some good wine in Michigan.
Oh, absolutely. We make some excellent wine in Michigan, right? So those brands, the Taste of Black Spirits also highlight several brands like this one. Like this is now available. It's called an LS Cream Liqueur. It's the first, it's been available since November. This is excellent. All by itself with a cube of ice, excellent. Yeah. It makes great desserts. We're talking about with ice cream, with chocolate. It is excellent, right? And coffee, by the way. So
I love that.
So that event will also we'll have some music. You get 6 tasting tickets. You get 2 cocktail tickets. The experience itself, you will experience some of the owners that will be there, some of the founders. You get to talk to them up close and personal. You get to try some things you haven't tried before. And again, it's not just because it's called Taste Black Spirits. It does not mean it's just for African American people. It's for all people who enjoy spirits, who would love to try something new, as we all do. Yeah. You know, but we want to try out something new, especially if you're a connoisseur in any one of these facets, from tequila to whiskey to gin to rum. To wine. And you get the chance to taste some excellent tea. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of Nikki's Ginger Tea, which is from Detroit, woman-owned, 20 years. They're available at Myers. And you have Ellis Isle Tea, which is literally their factory is right around the corner from us right now, literally on the boulevard. Another Black-owned, woman-owned tea, and it's great. And all those things mix very well with a lot of these liquors. So
yes, they do. I'm
looking forward to it again. I mean, the Grand Rapids event was phenomenal. It was probably 400 to 500 people who came out, and the experience itself, the education component of it is just amazing.
You gotta always stay up on what's new and what's good.
Absolutely, 100%, because you never know. right?
So I hate to, say the bad things, but, I'm interested in this event, but I'm also worried about COVID. Do you have any COVID protocols in place?
Oh, absolutely. We're not requiring vaccination cards, but we are requiring everybody to have a test before they come in the door. We provide that right before you go into the main venue. So if there is you can't come through the door without we're not going to swab your nose. We're not going to, take a shot. Not doing those things to you. We're not going to harm anybody, but we want people to be safe. We want people to feel safe. The space itself is large enough to for social distancing, and how we'll have it set up. It's a nice amount of room that people will be able to enjoy themselves safely.
Perfect. I do remember it. That's the tall ceilings in there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great place. So Leslie said her dad was a martini drinker. My mom would make them mint juleps while they watched the Kentucky Derby, taught to them by an old Southern bartender, which I do think is very interesting. The bartender was from Valley Forge Tavern in Pennsylvania. But I wonder, when people talk about, the Kentucky Derby and the mint juleps, I really never, maybe it's just because I didn't pay attention, but I never heard that the mint juleps were actually by African-American bartenders, or they were the most famous, and that. So I think that is an interesting point. And then Chris says, just pour it over ice cream. I think he's referring to the Kahlua. And I have to laugh because I took that.
Or maybe he's talking about this. I think you might have missed it. This is the cream liqueur. This is right here. This is a husband and wife team also. I represent these guys to the fullest. This is an excellent cream liqueur. Excellent. And it's a beautiful bottle. I love this bottle.
What's the flavor profile on that?
Oh my God. It's like a cinnamon. Oh my goodness. You have to come try it.
Like a warm spice.
It's a warm, yes. Oh, it is so amazing. Vanilla, nutmeg, coconut, and cinnamon, like I said. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's great.
Okay. I'm putting it on the list.
I want it. All right, I'm going to make noise for a minute. I did remove that giant. So usually your consistency would be a lot thicker, for this, but it's going to taste delicious all the same because I did remove that gigantic ice cube because it was never going to do anything in my blender. Oh.
And this is the Hummer?
Yes, it is.
You just need a spoon.
So this is my favorite drink right here. Okay. I can't stop talking. Nice and cold. This little ice cream. Some people you say, oh, it's really not a cocktail. Yeah, I think
it's a boozy milkshake.
Yeah.
There it is, a boozy milkshake. That's correct. I'm gonna have to try that. What's that made with again?
It's 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream, and usually you use 1.5 ounces of Kahlua, 1.5 ounces of rum. You could try it with one of your.
I am. That's why I said that. Yeah, I am.
And then, just a couple things of ice, and then you mix it up, and it's just delicious.
I'll let you know how it comes out. I'll try it tomorrow. I'm actually going to try it with this. It's 10-1. Is that dark rum or light rum?
You know what? A couple places said light rum, and then a couple places just said rum. I don't think it matters. You can, make it your way. So there are lots of.
I'm gonna offer that drink with these 2 and ice cream this coming Friday, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay.
Perfect. I do have to say there is a little controversy with the Hummer because the London Chop House actually claims that it was invented there as well. But you know what? Jerome Adams celebrated like 50 years. Actually, he was a bartender in 2017 for his 50th anniversary, still at the Bayview Yacht Club. And then he ended up passing away the following year. So maybe he was there to talk about it the longest, but he would, bartenders from around the world would be calling him up, and he traveled around talking about it. So, if Karin is going to fire up drink number 2 on a Sunday, I'll mix an Aperol Spritz. Cheers. Can you include the link to the Taste of Black event, please? So Mickey is very well versed in cocktails too. So that might be, you guys might want to connect on that too. She has done a prohibition tour for Detroit Bus Company. And she also has a blog, I want to say it's Prohibition Detroit. You can correct me, Mickey. But so she's very into the cocktails as well. Kind of like a Nina, I think, too, you know.
I'm an enthusiast.
Yes, passionate about cocktails. Yeah. So, you know, with that, I'm glad. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you liked the program, please give us a thumbs up or a heart. How about a heart? I need some love today. And, you know, so yeah, it is Prohibition Detroit. This is the blog post. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Please, if you don't follow City Tour Detroit, please do like us on Facebook. We're occasionally on Instagram. We're going to be up in our Instagram game too as well. They like videos. So anyway, please like us. Please share this event or this live stream, you know, and thanks for joining us. And Nina and Lazar, it was so fun. I can't wait to see you one of these days, Nina, in person. Yes. You're a little ways away, and Lazar, I'm considering coming to that event. What is the Okay, I've got a couple questions here first. Marcia gave us a heart. Sandy gave us a heart. Sharon wants to know, what's the name of Lazar's restaurant? The restaurant that he's at is called Yum Village, and that is on Woodward. Are you an owner of that, or?
I'm a partner over here. At Yum Village. Godwin is our owner. He is our most famous, incredible Afro-Caribbean chef of the world. This is the guy. If you want to come see him, I'm here every day with Godwin. So yeah, and I take care of all things beverage. All things beverage.
Kathy, great event. Nice that we can have a couple drinks and not have to drive home.
Right.
So if you are a cocktail connoisseur and know anything about bartenders or some of the bars and want to be featured on an upcoming episode, I'd love to have you. We're going to do a few things with food. If anybody's interested in food, too, experts, you know, and make something up for us. But Nina and Lazar, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Jason, for being in the back in the green room and putting up some photos for me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate both of you coming on.
All right. Stay warm, y'all.